For the last 17 years of my life, I could not get myself to do any sort of public speaking. I hated it. I hated when the teacher would even mention the word presentation. That word literally daunted me. It made me feel sick. I would even get those little butterflies in my stomach. But not the cute, nice butterflies. No, these butterflies were the ones that made me feel like someone was gutting my stomach out. Just bringing up the feeling again makes me want to run away and hide under my blanket. In order to avoid this public engagement, I would do almost anything possible. I would be absent for multiple days in a row. I would tell the teacher that I lost my voice and that I couldn't talk. I would go pretend to throw up in my previous class period so that way the nurse would call my mom and let me go home. And there were even those times where I would actually throw up, which was good because then I didn't have to lie as much. When I was forced to do my presentation, I would have mini panic attacks where I would shake, sweat, and stumble on my words profusely. Sometimes when this happened, my teacher would feel bad and save me from the embarrassment. Those were my favorite teachers. Now you may be wondering, what about group projects, Mia? How did you do those? Oh, I loved group projects. And when it came time to presentation day, I would tell everyone I would be absent the next day and they could continue without me. But sometimes I would do the presentation with them and make sure I had the shortest script. I was like this for almost all of grade school until I got to my junior year of high school. My junior year of high school, I felt like a whole new person. I wasn't completely over my fear of public speaking, but I was at the point where I didn't do those stupid things on purpose to avoid speaking. I owe some of that progression to my Spanish teacher and to my involvement in student council. My Spanish class was probably the worst class I've ever taken because my teacher would do projects almost every single week. In the beginning of class, I would play my little games to get out of them, but then my mom told me that I was missing too much school and that I just needed to grow up and put my big girl pants on. I was a little bit frustrated by when my mom would tell me that, because my mom acts as if I could just magically throw away my self-consciousness and social anxiety to do a 5-minute presentation. Well, I hate to break it to you, Mom, but that's not how it works. About a month into the semester, I expressed my feelings toward public speaking to my teacher. The feeling where my stomach was being torn apart. He simply laughed at me. Laughed at me. Definitely not the reaction I was hoping for. After laughing for a good minute, he said, "Mia, I hope you realize that everyone feels the same way. Do you think I like teaching in front of a bunch of teenagers who don't take me seriously? The trick is not to be so hard on yourself. And have fun. If you mess up, who cares? I'll make up for a good laugh after. If you do just those things, I promise it would only feel like 30 seconds of your life. Oh, and don't make too much eye contact because that's weird." This mini lecture ended up making a huge impact on my fear, and by the end of the semester, I was volunteering myself to go first. Now, student council was really out of my comfort zone. The people I met there were completely opposite of me and loved to make a scene with whatever they did. In that class, I felt like an outsider who always kept quiet and kept her thoughts to herself most of the time. Although being involved with these students made me think of how important our voice actually is. I learned that with our voice, we can make our school larger. As I started to develop this idea, I thought that I needed to use my voice for something that I was passionate about. At the time, I carried so much of my time and energy into doing little mini projects around the school to reach the ideal of a working community to the entire student body. One night, about a week away from student council elections, I had the bright idea. I'm going to run for a position. The next day, I turned in all my paperwork and started to work on my campaign. All my friends were in disbelief. At first, they thought it was a joke, because why would an introverted person like me, who can barely do a 5-minute presentation in class, run for a position? Well, I kind of wondered the same thing, But that week I was feeling different. I was feeling a bit spontaneous. Little did I know my freak out moment was coming soon. It was a Thursday. I had spent almost all night Wednesday working on my speech. I thought it sounded great. I woke up in a great mood, and my mom even made me breakfast with a little good luck note. As I got ready, I was constantly rehearsing my speech to make sure it sounded perfect. Walking into school that day felt almost as normal as I saw people give me high five and good luck hugs. I had no class that day, and speeches were supposed to start in third period, continuing to fifth period. I immediately headed to the auditorium. Upon entering, I had to walk down this super long dark hallway. Goosebumps started to run up my arms as I could hear the echo of my shoes on the tile. Our auditorium is big, so big that it felt like a tiny ant next to all the empty chairs. My advisor told us to start practicing with only 2 hours to the big speech. Once I started practicing my speech, I looked at the bright light in those empty seats, and it was all over. I immediately ran off and started crying. I cried so bad that my eyes were puffy, which was just another thing I had to worry about. It took me about 10 times going back and forth to the podium where I was finally able to rehearse my speech. The bell rings, and it's time. The whole junior class starts to rush in. At this point, my heart is beating so fast that I swear I thought I was going to die. When they call my name, and here I go. About 25% of me wanted to say, screw it, who cares what people think? But the other 75% couldn't stop thinking about how embarrassing this was, and if my crush was going to think I was weird. I set my papers down on the podium and looked up. Lucky for me, the light was so bright that I couldn't see many people, but that also meant more sweating. Next thing I know, people are clapping and it's over. I was thinking to myself, was that it? I don't even remember what I said or how I said it. I guess it was all just a blur, but I know it must have been good because no one had to pull me off stage. So I guess I was having fun. As for the next 2 speeches, oh, they were a breeze. I think I was even cracking some jokes. If I had told my younger self that I was going to stand on a podium in a big auditorium making a speech in front of the whole student body, I probably would have laughed so hard. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a changed person with the highest confidence in the world to do a million presentations in front of a crowd of people, but I'm now able to recognize the way in which everyone is able to defeat their fear and step out of their comfort zone. Yes, it may be scary, and to this day I still hold a part of that fear, but in the end something good will come out of it, either in the present or near future. Even though this happened almost 2 years ago, I still receive the benefits of stepping out of my comfort zone and realizing the importance of my voice, allowing me to take the steps to develop self-confidence, while being in the process of expressing who I am and the life I am destined to live, without having to worry about what others may think.